Mangwana ni Malelepo Vukenjani Clay Class Vanave Africa. You are absolutely at the right place. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your roundup of the biggest stories shaping our continent. On today's show, Mali braces for more political unrest amid protests against military rule, and France and Algeria lock horns in a fresh diplomatic standoff. We look into Russia's growing military influence in Central Africa, and Aliko Dangote's investment in Kenya's tourism. Plus, Pope Leo XIV makes a passionate call for media freedom, and in economic news, the U.S. and China reach a surprising tariff deal. From Zimbabwe, talent Gore brings updates in current affairs, sport and entertainment. Watch us on DSTV 285, GOTV 25 and NTV Africa on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Taking flight has never been easier. Paratus is introducing Sky-Fi internet packages with speeds that will have you reaching for your seatbelts. Starting from $500 million, excluding VAT, per month, with speeds reaching up to 10 megabits per second. There's even a prepaid option where you can top up your Sky-Fi internet for just $15 million per gigabyte. No contracts, no fuss. Visit your nearest Paratus branch to find out more. Or go to paratus.africa/Namibia to sign up online.
Always prepared, Paratus.
Let's get into our top stories. Mali's ruling military government faces a pivotal moment as tensions rise over worsening insecurity, economic hardship, and authoritarianism. After banning all political activity to suppress dissent ahead of planned protests in Bamako and Ségou, authorities aim to prevent the spread of unrest sparked by calls for civil disobedience online. The suspension follows unprecedented rallies earlier in May opposing a proposal to grant interim President Assimi Goïta a 5-year term and dissolve political parties. While the protests were postponed, many remain defiant, demanding democratic reforms, with the north still plagued by jihadist violence, widespread blackouts, high living costs, and job losses deepen public frustration. Analysts suggest the threat of internal dissent within the ruling elite may outweigh public protests, especially as several government critics have vanished. The military's appeal to anti-colonial sentiment is losing ground, with citizens increasingly focused on stability, democracy, and economic survival rather than rhetoric. Moving on. France has vowed to take strong and proportionate action after Algeria expelled 15 French diplomatic agents, deepening a worsening diplomatic rift between the two nations. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot condemned the expulsions as unjustified and said Paris would respond immediately, just as it did last month when both countries engaged in tit-for-tat expulsions. The souring relationship, rooted in a long and complex colonial history, was further strained last year when President Emmanuel Macron expressed support for Morocco's stance on the disputed Western Sahara, angering Algiers. Although Barrot's visit to Algiers in April offered a brief thaw, tensions quickly reignited. In mid-April, France recalled its ambassador and expelled 12 Algerian officials after a similar move by Algeria. With around 10% of France's population having ties to Algeria, officials warned that deteriorating ties could have serious security, economic, and social repercussions for both countries. Russia is set to expand its military footprint in Africa by formally deploying its Africa Corps to replace the Wagner Group in the Central African Republic, marking a strategic shift in Moscow's engagement on the continent. This move follows the controversial death of Wagner leader Yevgeny and Putin's broader goal of recalibrating and institutionalizing Russian influence across Africa following France's military withdrawal. Pope Leo XIV has called for the release of imprisoned journalists, describing free speech and a free press as precious gifts. In his first public audience with members of the media since his historic election as the first American pontiff, addressing thousands of journalists gathered at the Vatican, Pope Leo urged the press to use words that promote peace and to amplify the voices of the marginalized. The 69-year-old Augustinian, elected just last week, opened with a light-hearted remark in English before switching to Italian to thank the journalists for their coverage of the papal transition. He emphasized the power of language to do good and condemned the use of words to incite war or division. Following his speech, he warmly interacted with attendees, signing autographs, posing for selfies, and hinting at an upcoming visit to Turkey for the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. His remarks sparked praise across global media circles. In the last of our top stories, Aliko Dangote and American billionaire David Rubenstein have invested in Kenya's tourism sector through Altera Capital, acquiring Pullman's Tours and Safaris, Kenya's oldest tour company. The acquisition, finalized via ARP Africa Travel Group in February, marks a strategic move into one of Kenya's top industries. According to the Competition Authority of Kenya, the merger will not alter market competition or result in job losses, as the acquiring and target companies operate in different sectors. Kenya's tour operator market remains decentralized, with over 300 players like Bonfire Adventures and Bountiful Safaris. This investment adds to Dangote's growing regional footprint. He recently expanded his sugar refinery business into Ghana and continues to operate Dangote Cement across 10 African countries. His conglomerate's reach also includes oil exports to Saudi Arabia, North America, and Turkey. This latest deal reflects his broader push to deepen continental economic integration and unlock tourism's potential. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. We'll shortly be looking at the weather predictions from Southern Africa, and after that, we talk to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
It's time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. Talent Wamukase.
Mamukase Africa.
Tamukahedu. Now, Rwanda has recruited a second group of Zimbabwean teachers. I believe they recruited the first time around 2022.
Yes, the first time around they recruited in 2022, and this time around Rwanda is set to recruit a second cohort of over 150 Zimbabwean teachers as part of the skilled worker exchange agreement aimed at strengthening cooperation between the two countries. The recruitment seeks to fill vacant positions in various fields, including basic general education teachers, basic technical and vocational education and training teachers, higher institution lecturers, special needs, and inclusive teachers, among other posts. The recruitment is being conducted by technical committees from the two countries. In 2021, the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding which will allow them to exchange 477 skilled personnel from various fields, including teachers. To date, more than 200 teachers from Zimbabwe have been recruited by the Rwandan government. So since 2021, when they signed the memorandum of understanding, 200 teachers have actually been recruited by the Indian government.
All right, talents. Now, in a rather disturbing update, armed robbers raided a Bulawayo nightclub in broad daylight.
Yes, the incident happened on Sunday when armed robbers held staff hostage at a popular Bulawayo nightclub before stealing 4,300 United States dollars. Staff at Zara Lounge were counting the previous night's takings when three armed men appeared and forced all the staff into a room where they were held hostage. They then stole 4,300 cash and went away. Armed police officers were seen on the rooftops after surrounding the building, which also houses Christstone nightclub. Dozens of curious onlookers watched the drama unfold, some from the vantage point of the multi-story Rainbow Hotel just across the street. And responding officers initially believed that the armed robbers were still inside the building, but after nearly an hour, nightclub staff was seen emerging from the building, some looking distraught. So the police have launched a manhunt for the armed robbers. Apparently the robbery happened in broad daylight, which is something that, especially in Bulawayo, it's now occurring regularly. This is not the first time that there has been a robbery in Bulawayo during the daytime. You find out that sometime last year but one, some robbers actually robbed a bank in broad day in Bulawayo. So you find out that most of these robberies happen during the happening in Bulawayo, and the police have said that they're on it. They're actually looking for the robbers who robbed the nightclub, and they went away with 4,300 United States dollars.
Now, talent. Earlier in the year, we spoke about the Zimbabwean government starting to compensate white farmers who had lost land during the Mugabe's land reform program. Now, in response to that, war veterans are challenging $3.5 million compensation for white farmers.
Yes, apparently Zimbabwe's plans to compensate white farmers whose land was acquired for resettlement has launched into a legal trouble after a group of war veterans challenged the agreement, which they argue is unconstitutional. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, seeking to restore ties with Western governments who were critical of the land seizures, has committed to pay 3.5 billion United States dollars to just over 4,000 farmers, but only for improvements to the land and not the land itself. Represented by rights lawyer and former finance minister Tendai Biti, ex-combatants are also questioning the secrecy around the deal and the methodology of calculating what is due to each farmer. Ultimately, they are seeking the High Court to declare the compensation agreement unconstitutional and void. Should they win in court, the entire scheme, whose delayed implementation has led to much consternation among the aging farmers, could be in jeopardy. So if the war veterans win this case in court, it means that the government has to revisit that deal again. That is, if the High Court actually grants the war veterans what they want. But as of now, the government hasn't commented on it, and nothing much has been said. The High Court hasn't said anything, as this matter has just been submitted to the High Court. And apparently the war veterans themselves, they are being represented by former finance minister, who's also a lawyer, Tendai Biti. So we're just going to be looking out and to see how this matter is going to unfold, and to see if the war veterans themselves are going to win this case, or the government is going to continue compensating the white farmers whose land, apparently whose farms were taken during the land distribution program in the early 2000s.
Now, talent, in the last of your current affairs stories, before we get into the sport, the Zimbabwean government is assuring parents that schools are free of bedbugs.
Yes, as I have been reporting for the past few weeks, there is an outbreak of bedbugs in Harare, and apparently it has spread to other cities like Mutare and but the but right now, the government has reassured parents and guidance that it is taking all necessary steps to prevent and manage bed bugs infestation in schools ahead of the start of the second term on Tuesday. This comes amid fears among parents that bed bugs may spread to boarding schools following reported cases in Harare, Mutare, and Kwekwe. In an interview, primary and secondary education spokesperson Mr. Taungana Ndoro said the government had put in place effective hygiene measures in schools, and they do not expect any bed bug infestation in schools. So the government has said that they are currently their schools are schools have opened today, but they were last. But right now, they will be using standard operating procedures which have been in place since the COVID-19 pandemic that ensure hygiene and health standards are maintained in schools, providing a safe learning environment for all children.
All right, talent. Now, your sport update is certainly a sad one. Zimbabwe Open golfer has died in a car crash upon returning from the FBC tournament.
Yes, a tragic accident claimed the life of Zimbabwean professional golfer Morton Kombai just hours after the conclusion of the 2025 FBC Zimbabwe Open in Harare. Kombai, a respected member of the Zimbabwe Professional Golfers Association based in Shavane, died on the spot on Sunday night after a vehicle carrying 5 players involved in a crash at the intersection of Samora Machel Avenue and 7th Street. 4 other players, Zimbabweans Tonderai Masunga and Bigi Chuvuri, who was driving, Victor Kachepa Tonga of Malawi and Laki Ayisa of Ghana, were seriously injured, and they are receiving treatment at Parirenyatwa Group of Hospitals and Kensington Medical Center. The Zimbabwe Golf Association and Zim Open Committee said in a statement the 4 are reported to be in stable condition, but unfortunately, Morton died on the spot on Sunday.
All right, talent. We certainly wish all the support and comfort to the families, to the family of the fallen golfer in Zimbabwe. Now, in the last of your stories, we do take a rather positive turn. Tawanda Mako, a Chinoi Technical High School Form 6 learner, will be part of the artists that will represent Zimbabwe in Greece in December.
Yes, Tawanda Mako at Chinhoyi Technical High School Form 6 learner will be part of the artists that will represent Zimbabwe in Greece this December. Apparently, Tawanda is veteran broadcaster Regis Mako's son. He is among the top 5 artists who recently participated at the Colors of Recovery art competition in Harare. The competitions focused on the fight against drug and substance abuse, and Tawanda has made drawings of prominent people, including footballers Lionel Messi and Sadio Mane. In the picture, you can see Tawanda giving President Emerson Mnangagwa a piecework that he had done. So he will be in Greece in December, showcasing his talent, and he's one of the people who are going to be representing the country in Greece.
Well, we certainly wish him all the best talent, and we thank you very much for bringing us the Zimbabwe Report, and we're looking forward to a second edition of the Zimbabwe Report as you deliver that tomorrow as well.
You are welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good to have you on Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at the indicators. Let's get into the economic news. In a breakthrough moment for global markets, the United States and China have agreed to significantly reduce reciprocal tariffs for 90 days, signaling a pause in the trade war that has stalled $600 billion in commerce. The U.S. will lower tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%, while China will drop its duties on American exports from 125% to 10%. The decision followed high-level meetings in Geneva, marking the first direct talks since President Trump's return to office, and reflects a shared desire to avoid economic decoupling. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent hailed the deal as a balanced move toward healthier trade relations, while investors worldwide responded with optimism, lifting stock markets and easing fears of a looming recession. The agreement does not cover specific sectors, but strategic rebalancing in areas like semiconductors and steel is expected to continue. Analysts welcomed the move, calling it unexpectedly bold and beneficial for the global economy. That's been our economic news story, and those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning. Thank you very much for joining us on DSTV 2 at 5, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, and Network Media Hub on YouTube. From me, Ashwimberi, and the Africa Good Morning team, we'll see you tomorrow. But first, Swera Zwakanaka.